Julian, away we go.
Yeah. There is a new book that Dave and Mike have written called Evenings with Led Zeppelin, although, of course, as I pointed out on Friday, there were some afternoons too, so it's not strictly accurate, but that's my train spotter instinct coming out on that one. So it's a great pleasure to, obviously, we all know Dave, but to introduce Mike Tremaglio here, who's flown over especially from the States with his family. A big round of applause for him, please, because he's come a long way. The research that's gone into this book is incredible. Right, so I'd like to ask them a few questions. And answer, first of all, what was the original concept for the book?
It really started with Mike sending me over a load of logs that he was compiling. It's worth mentioning straight away that certainly with Simon Pallett, who is here today, we'd done the concert file book, which was in the pre-internet age. I think we both did a fantastic job. Simon was fantastic at a lot of the research on that. But that was 20 years ago. I think we needed to do something a bit different. And Mike's logs, which were coming over, were logs in a very formalised way, which had the set list, it had the details of the gig. He was beginning to build out a bank of information of reviews from the time, and there'd be pictures of the venue. So all of this looked a whole lot new to me, and they used to come over in PVC covers. And I used to open up, the packet, and all these PVC covers would fall over, and I'd trip over them and slip over them. You know what it's like with PVC covers. So I thought this would be better in a book, and that's what we started to talk about. And Mike initially started to do a lot of these logs in the TBL magazine, and it's worth me now passing over to Mike to tell us how that sort of it certainly evolved from that. So here he comes. Here he is.
Yes, I think when we originally started the whole concept for the book, it really was because over the last 10 to 15 years, a ton of newspaper archives and a lot of information on Zeppelin concerts has finally been put online, and we're able to really compile just hundreds and hundreds of different newspaper reviews, different magazines, and really accumulate all the images and really take the concert file, the concept, but really, to Dave's point, add a lot to it by getting a lot of the contemporary reviews at the time. Because if you go through the book, you'll see some reviews, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. You could actually have a reviewer from the same night. One guy thinks they're the worst band that ever lived, and the next guy will say it's the greatest band of all time, and they saw the same show, believe it or not. But it really, more than anything, what we wanted to present was a book that really showed every concert as a historical musical event. And I think between the ticket stubs, the venue photographs, which I think is really important because the venue photographs really give a visual setting of where it took place so people can get a feel for the concert as an event. But I think that's really what we were trying to accomplish.
Excellent. Now, bearing in mind, Dave, you live in ye olde England, and Mike, you live in ye new England. How on earth did you collaborate in this research?
Well, I actually only met him on Thursday, and I'm glad I like him because
you hate the bastard.
Yeah, if I hadn't liked him, it didn't. I mean, obviously, this modern age, even though I can't work Skype to save my life, but we did manage to get Skype working most weeks. And we used to regularly catch up. Every Friday afternoon would be the one, and it wasn't difficult. Again, Mike will agree with me. We were both singing from the same, sort of hymn sheet from the start, and because of that, the vision that we had was shared. And as it went along, and the book grew, because it wasn't going to be as big as that, it wasn't going to be as many pages as that. We were lucky, certainly with Omnibus, when Chris Giles was there. He retired about 3 years ago. He's going to be here later, he may be here now. He did the editing on the book, but he actually, as I say, wasn't there for the last 2 years. And we powered on, and it was a difficult book to do. I wouldn't lie with that, and I think Omnibus didn't always understand what we were trying to do, but in the end they got there. But I think, again, let's see what Mike says about that.
Yeah. I think probably the most important thing is the end result. To Dave's point, I mean, we had dozens and dozens of Skype sessions. We emailed daily for, you know, God knows how many years. But when all's said and done, I think reaching the conclusion of this book finally, I think we could both safely say that this is exactly the book that we intended to produce from the very beginning. And that we're really happy about, we're satisfied, we're really proud of it, because it was challenging, to say the least. And you know, we had crises of confidence along the way, but when all's said and done, we're not only really happy with the end result, but we're probably more relieved than anything.
I certainly am. It's worth me just mentioning the guy who did the layout is Mick Lowe, who works with me on the TBL magazines in Bedford. It was always my intention to work with him because we needed to be right on top of the layout. And I think one of the joys of the book is that it's very easy to read. There's a lot of information in there, but the way it's been segregated and the way the information comes at you, which is as a set list, as background info, press reaction, the bootlegs are in there in terms of, you know, what was recorded and when. It's easy to read because a book like this, we didn't want it to be a boring list of dates. Yeah, it has to tell the story in a vivid way, and I think it does that in real time. As I said, the one thing we're trying to say about the book, it is evenings with Led Zeppelin and some afternoons, as my learned friend has mentioned, but it tells the story from where they function best, and it tells it in a way that I think is very clear and concise, and you can really understand why certainly why this band, you know, became as big as they did in a very short space of time. So yeah, we are pleased with that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, can you explain the format of the book and where does the well? I think we've partly covered where the title originates from.
It is worth mentioning the title because we went through lots of titles. Stairway to Zeppelin wasn't going to work, was it? Kashmir wasn't going to work, was it? But we did, in the end, it was a phrase actually that Peter Grant came up with and told me about when I interviewed him in 1993. He explained to me that the tagline "Evenings with" was something he used to see a lot of in the musical acts when he was actually a sort of stagehand. You know, when he was about 14 or 15, and he would see, you know, Max Miller "An Evening With," and he thought that had a right ring about it because what he was presenting as the manager of Led Zeppelin was an evening with Led Zeppelin. As we know, after 1970, they rarely had support acts, so I think that had a good ring about it, and I remember him telling me about it and being emphatic about it. And if you look through the book, there were many adverts where obviously that is how they're built. So we just thought that had a great fit, and I think it does sum up. I think also worth mentioning the cover. We went through many covers as well. We went through a lot of pain with the cover. In fact, Phil Tattersall was live on that one, wasn't he? Wherever you are, yeah. You can't tell that story though. That's my memoirs, okay? But it all happened in St Albans. But it didn't happen in St Albans. It happened in the Boston Tea Party. Am I right?
That's
right. I am. Sort of check with the expert. We thought it was a great picture because I think it does describe an evening with Led Zeppelin, and it's that interaction with their audience which made them what they were. And it didn't matter if they were playing, you know, to 800, to 2,000, or to 56,000 in Tampa. It was always an evening with Led Zeppelin, and when you came away, you know that you'd seen an evening with Led Zeppelin. So we're pleased with the title.
Brilliant. What was the most difficult period of the live history to gain accurate information on?
Well, I'll pass this one to Mike.
I think the real challenging period was the 68 fall and 69 spring, especially the small UK tours, because there wasn't a lot of press and there really wasn't a lot of you know, things to find during that period. I mean, obviously between Melody Maker and New Musical Express and, you know, some of the other weeklies we're able to grab some stuff from, whether it's ads or something like that, but certainly not many press reviews of the concerts. Whereas in '69, by the time they made it to the US in '69, there were so many different underground newspapers in the United States during the late '60s and early 70s, and so many of the underground newspapers really reviewed the band very in-depthly, and a lot of them very critically too, I might add. But also too, if you see in this book where it's written that it's singer Jimmy Page and drummer John Paul Jones, that was the reviewer, not us. Yeah, there really were. But in terms of the difficult period, those are really the hardest periods. Other than that, also too, the January 1970 UK tour was a little bit challenging too, in terms of finding material for. But other than that, I think the rest of the entire tour dates really were able to grab just about something for every day.
Fantastic. Have you discovered any new dates that go into the catalogue?
Yes, I think going back several years. In fact, it was originally in Type It Loose, but one day I just gotten access to the Baltimore Sun archives, and I just was doing my search, and next thing you know, a date I had never heard of, and in fact, it was the last date of the 1969 first U.S. tour. It was in Baltimore, because prior to that, originally Miami was supposed to be the last date on the tour, but somehow they managed to add a final date with Vanilla Fudge at the Baltimore Civic Center, and it also happened to be my birthday too, so that was kind of a nice little special thing. So I was really happy when I found that one. But another one that really was kind of really interesting, because it took so many years to find this one. But there were many anecdotes, and a lot of people had talked about Las Vegas '69. I guess the band had seen Elvis a few weeks before, and there was a lot of talk about them playing in Las Vegas, but no one was able to find anything on it. And then as I kept searching and searching and searching, and new newspaper archives came up. As I usually did, I always typed in Led Zeppelin on the search, but I always made sure I spelled Led Zeppelin wrong too, just in case. And in this instance, they spelled the band name wrong, and that's where it popped up, and we were finally able to nail down, after about a decade of a lot of people looking, we were able to nail down August 7th, 1969, they played the Las Vegas Ice Palace, it's called. Now it's just like a roller skating rink in Las Vegas and a strip mall.
Great stuff.
I think just hearing that answer, I think illustrates the amount of detail that's gone into this book, and particularly with mine. And I have to say, I certainly couldn't have done this without him, there's no doubt about that. But this book is really Mike's triumph, believe me, because the level of research, as you just heard, is just phenomenal. And there's no one that I know could have brought that to the book. So a round of applause for Mike. Come on.
I've promoted Mike to Train Spotter of the Year. This is a classic. Rail fan in the States, of course, but over here, Train Spotters. We are a very proud lot. And speaking as Jules with Train Spotter, it's an honour to welcome you into the brethren. One thing I would like to say is, particularly, is you've got a foreword by Richard Cole in this fantastic book. I mean, Richard obviously was the legendary tour manager, but also we must mention Peter Grant, because he really made Led Zeppelin happen and made sure that they got the money they deserved and weren't ripped off and messed around. How important were Richard Cole and Peter Grant to the band?
Well, yeah, it goes without saying. Peter Grant, Led Zeppelin couldn't have achieved what they achieved. They'd have been a very good band. Yeah, he was certainly essential to the growth of them and to the success of them. And he was very clever in a lot of things he did. But he needed a right-hand man, and Richard Cole was that man. The forward is a brilliant forward, because obviously Richard, when I asked him about it, he said, "Oh, fucking hell, I don't want to tell those same old stories." I said, "No, we don't need those ones. Red snappers are done. We need to know how they got from A to B in the time they did." He had a skill that made that work. And he said, we went from station wagons to limousines, to starships, and he saw it all. And rather than just a few words, which I thought we'd get when I said, "Look, okay, list a few things down," well, he kept listing them down. In the end, we ended up with 2,000 words. And it's a brilliant forward because it sets the scene. And I think for Richard, his memory always isn't 100%. He said to me, this book is going to be, you know, like my life. I'll be able to relive the 11 years, 12 years that I, you know, was with Led Zeppelin, and he's still immensely proud of it. And I think that comes through certainly with the intro. So, yeah, they were absolutely pivotal, and it's an absolute privilege to have that forward by Richard Cole, because he doesn't do that for everybody. So we felt really, really privileged. In fact, there was a good story that after we did the Festival of Sound thing on Friday, Richard rang me up because he'd been watching it on Facebook. What the fuck are you doing there then? So I said, well, I've actually got the co-author here. So Mike had a word with Richard Cole. It's a great moment.
And just to wind it up, has the book turned out as you wanted it and as you had hoped it would do?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's a large book, as can be seen. I mean, we did have the only book launch without books, but you know that wasn't our fault. And it will be available. You will be able to buy this book. We are going to auction this one, and the minimum bid is £5,000. So if you want to go higher, you know, me and Mike can swan off to the Bahamas for a week. Yeah, it will be out. I think, as far as I know, copies are in the UK next week. It's on Amazon, I think, from October 11. We're incredibly proud of it. It's been a very hard book to write. Well, I could write a book about writing the book because there's been lots of twists and turns, and they'll all be in the memoirs. But the fact is, the end result, I think, is something to be proud of. I think Led Zeppelin fans are going to love it across the world. That's the important thing. That's the reason we've done it. We want to share this information, and there was no more man waiter to share the information than Mike. So, Mike, last word to you.
Yeah, I think what I'm hoping for is, especially all the people with this Led Zeppelin passion that are in this room. I know we all have a similar mindset with regard to how much we love the band. I mean, this isn't a book you necessarily read from cover to cover, but it's one of those books where, you know, it's a certain date, and then you put on the bootleg, you listen to the date, you want to find out a little bit more about that particular concert, and then this will transport you back to that particular gig. You can look and see where it was played. You can see that you got your ticket stub. You can see the ad in the newspaper. Then you could read about the concert in the next day's paper or whatever. But it really, the whole purpose of the book really is to get, you know, hardcore Led Zeppelin fans like ourselves to really enjoy the shows and get the most out that you can out of every show. And I think that I'm really, really proud of the book, and I think it accomplishes that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, really spot on. But I just before, in a day of, because we don't often get together like this, you know, in a day of thank yous, we were inspired to do this book by previous works that, you know, that have been around a long time. And it's worth me mentioning the work of Howard, the work of Louis, the work of Robert Godwin, Hugh Jones, Andy Adams, Eddie Edwards, who certainly came in with some stuff, Cliff Hilliard, who supplied quite a lot of the tickets. It was sort of culmination of sharing that information. And these books can't be done without the input of other people. And I think as much as it's our book, it's those people that really inspired us through the years. We've been very lucky to put this book together, and again, you know, we do really feel that. But it's also, it's part of the Led Zeppelin, you know, sort of community that we're putting it out there. But it was done with a lot of inspiration from some of the people that I've mentioned and a few that I haven't. So it's great that it's out there, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Dave, Mike, thank you very much indeed. I mean, this is a fantastic book. I've had a chance to look at it. I can't wait for my copy. I've already got my red biro poised to underline all the places that I've visited and seen, so I can tick them off. And I don't think I'll ever clear the whole class, as we say, but it's a great book. And Dave, as always, has got to get the last word in.
I missed out Simon Pallet, by the way, because certainly his work over the years, and certainly with the tapes, was instrumental to certainly the concert file, and then this book being possible. So sorry, Simon, but I've just had to agree.
Thanks very much, friends.
That was right. Any questions, by the way? No, good. Good. Very good. Yeah, we got questions.